It's Vlogtober day 3. And we wanted to tell you about 5 essential scary movies.
And I want to be clear about the distinction, because people always talk about, you know, like, oh, I want to watch horror movies, and like, I don't want to watch horror movies. Like, what I want is to be scared. So like, I'm really not into like the gore, or like a lot of the like body horror stuff is like not really for me. Like, I want to be scared, like deeply psychologically damaged by a movie, and like not just sort of grossed out. And before we start, like, we were both very like adamant like about the no horror comedy thing, so like that's not going to show up on the list like at all.
It's not going to show up on any of our lists.
No, because you know, like, sometimes that works. Every now and again, like Shaun of the Dead was kind of cute, but like most of the time something is not funny and scary. It might be a horror themed comedy, but it's not both scary and funny. Very, very rarely can something be scary and funny. So we each picked 5 like absolutely essential scary movies to like set the scene for the season. So yeah. You wanna go first?
So the first 2 on my list, I think, are also on your list, which is The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2.
1 and 2. I use them as 1 and 3.
I put them as 2.
She's padding her list. I had to like squeeze, like there's actually 2 joint entries on my list. I thought The Conjuring 1 was a better movie. I thought it was scarier, and like I actually remember leaving The Conjuring 2 being like, well, that was good, because I mean, I love James Wan, as will become painfully evident as we go through this list. But I didn't feel like it was as scary. But we got home the night after we saw The Conjuring 2, and the shampoo bottle in our shower fell over and made a big loud bang in the middle of the night, and we both woke up screaming. And I don't mean like, I mean like
screaming. And we just looked at each other and screamed for probably at least 90 seconds. Yeah. Just flat out screaming until we realized nothing was happening.
Yeah. Clutching each other. Like screaming. It was yeah.
Yeah, so, I think nothing will match the clapping game from Conjuring 1.
It was such a perfect.
But the stuff with the nun, I don't want to do any spoilers.
No,
this is gonna be spoiler free. But there's a part with the nun, if you've seen The Conjuring 2, that will scare me forever.
In Ed's office,
yes.
That is just priceless.
Yeah.
Although, again, I think with the clapping thing from it's in the trailer for The Conjuring 1, and they set it up, and they set the whole trailer around that clapping scare, and it comes around at the end of the trailer, and it's effective in the advertising, and then again when you see the movie, it's still scary. It's fantastic. It's such a good movie. The pair of those is just great.
Yeah. What's on your list?
At number 5, I had The Blair Witch Project, and I don't care. I don't care. It's very, very trendy and very hip for people to be like, that movie didn't scare me. That movie scared the hell out of me as a kid. Where you are, John? Because, and some people are too young, they weren't around when it came out, but like there was a while when that movie came out, you know, we thought that was real. Like when that hit the theater, people still kind of thought it was real.
Yeah.
And like for me, like a big part of being scared by movies, and like I love to be scared by movies, is you cannot let reality intervene at all. You have to just be ready to believe it. And so that's one of those great movies where obviously, you know, if you looked at it pretty seriously, it wasn't real.
Right.
But there was enough doubt, and this is kind of before the internet and the way that we know it now, you could really go into it thinking it was real. And they put out a documentary, and I remember I rented it at the grocery store video counter.
Wow, that's old school.
Curse of the Blair Witch. It was like lousy TV documentary. And she can confirm this, I have all the books, I own all the movies, like, I love it. It's one of my favorite franchises. If you've seen the movie and like you kind of dug it, you want to go deeper, the Secret Journal of Rustin Parr, The Secret Confession of Rustin Parr is a great book. The video scrapbook is really great. And then they did a series of young adult novels that are pretty sweet too. Not to mention the amazing PC games that are so scary, and like, I don't know that you can still buy them, but I'm sure you can still find them.
Yeah, I think Blair Witch is scary. I think it became in vogue to like you're saying, to not think it's scary, but I have a hard time finding someone who didn't leave the lamp on after seeing that movie, or refused to go camping just for a weekend or something.
And I think that like, what made it so effective is that they understood, and so many horror directors, and it's why I don't like horror movies, that's why I prefer scary movies, is that in Blair Witch they understood that what you didn't see was where the terror was. The terror and the fear lurks just beyond the frame. And the scariest movies to me use that. Then it's not always they don't show something, but like there's always they play with what you can and cannot see. And I think of other great horror films or other great scary movies like Alien, where you never really get a good look at the alien towards the very end of the movie, and like that's what builds the fear. Jaws is the same way. Like, you know, Jaws doesn't show up until an hour into that movie, but it's a physical, palpable presence through the whole film, and I think that's really, to me, what makes a great movie.
One of my other favorites is Grave Encounters.
Oh, yes.
And if you haven't seen that, it's not on Netflix anymore, I don't think, which is really unfortunate, but...
Is there someone here with us?
You should go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's not, I don't find that a lot of people have seen that one, because it wasn't a big release, and but it was terrifying.
It looks awful.
It
like
does.
if you look at the cover on Netflix back when it was on Netflix, like I had to have my arm twisted pretty hard because I was like,
I've heard good things about this. Let's just watch it.
This looks terrible.
But there's a part where, I don't know, probably maybe 20 minutes in, maybe even a little bit
further
later, where you're just like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
I don't know what's gonna happen.
The turn in that movie is so effective.
And I was so scared, I couldn't fall asleep.
Yeah, for days afterwards, it stuck with me, and like that should have been on my list, because that was a really great movie.
And it kind of seems hokey. It's about paranormal investigators
at an asylum.
But we promise. Well, I mean, everyone has different tastes, but for both of us, it's 5 stars.
Totally, it's a great
really
movie.
Good, and it's definitely worth the watch.
It's so good. The fact that it takes place in a haunted asylum, it's still good.
Yeah.
Like, and that is just hokey.
Yeah. And
I'm so tired of it. It's like the serial killer clown thing where you're like, really, we're gonna do this? Like, pass. On the subject, tying back to like movies that people claimed not to be scared by very quickly after they came out, but everybody that I know was scared by. I have all 3 Paranormal Activity movies.
Oh
the ones that I recognize, the first 3 I did.
If you do try to play games with it, that's inviting it in.
my mom came to visit me at college. I think it was our freshman, maybe sophomore year. We went and saw Paranormal Activity before it had a lot of buzz about it. And I didn't sleep, for no exaggeration, 48 hours afterwards. I couldn't fall asleep.
I left the theater vibrating. Like, I was just like, this is amazing. Like, and you know, that was at a point in my life where I thought I was never gonna get to see another scary movie. Like, I had seen the classics, and I wasn't ever gonna get, like, nobody was gonna be able to get me again. And it's really easy to scare somebody, to startle them. It's really easy to, but it's really, really hard to, like, maintain a level of tension that stays with you after the movie was over. And I mean, we tucked our sheets into the bottom of our bed for like a month after that. Like, And they did a really good job of ratcheting that up in the second movie. I felt like they managed to maintain the intensity. And I am still a diehard of the third film, which I think a lot of people didn't care for, but I thought it introduced some really neat things in the camera work and in the mythology. And they did something that I really appreciate in those films, that they never really fully explain what's going on, and that it's enough that you don't feel like you're being cheated, not like The Strangers, where it's just like, that's what happens, which was just dumb. You know, like you feel like the fear is coming from the fact that the world just keeps getting bigger and you don't understand what's going on. And I just love them. I think they're great films, and I think people who are like, oh, I'm scared by Paranormal Activity, it's like, who are you trying to, okay, tough guy, like, and I know I say this a lot when we come out of movies, is like, some people say I wasn't scared by a movie as like a way of like showing off how tough they are, how bad they are. And like, if I say I wasn't scared by a movie, like that to me is like the worst review I can give.
So, one of my other favorites that will always be terrifying to me, even though it's kind of old school, is The Sixth Sense.
Another movie people are like, I wasn't scared by that, or I wasn't surprised by that. And you're like, whatever, man.
Feel the prickly things on the back of your neck.
Yes.
That's them. They get mad. It gets cold.
How often do you see them?
All the time.
Anyone who says that they predicted the twist in that is lying. I mean, if they saw it when it first came out, I don't know anybody who predicted that. That was a surprise for everyone.
There was I was in a band with a guy once who, this is like his deal. Every movie.
He's so smart.
It was this and Seven and like every movie with a twist. And he's like, well, I knew, you could tell because of this and this. And you're like, shut up, dude. Like,
but that, all of the scary parts of that still are scary to me to this day.
There's that part where they put him in the
closet.
The closet or whatever. And that, I mean, like, we couldn't have been very old when that movie came out. It scared the hell out of me. Mm-hmm. Great movie.
Yeah.
And I liked, until Lady in the Water, like I really liked M. Night Shyamalan, and people got mad about, oh, it's always a twist, and I'm like, so?
Don't you want to be surprised by the things that you see?
And I even really liked The Village, and people hated The Village. Everybody hated The Village. I thought that was a really cool movie. Yeah. Because they do that super effective scare where like they're like, oh, the monsters aren't real, and then this movie came out in like 2004. Bite me, like. They say like, oh, the monsters aren't real, and then she's blind and she's out in the forest, and there's one walking around behind her, and they had just said that it wasn't real, and there it is, and you're like,
are they lying?
Now, see, we were originally gonna do a joint list, but we can't do a joint list because the top 2 scary movies on my list she hasn't seen. So I think second from the top for me is gonna be The Exorcist. Duh. I mean, everybody knows it's one of the scariest movies ever made, and it's one of the few of those really classic scary movies that you hardly ever hear somebody say anything like, oh, I wasn't scared by that, because everybody was scared by The Exorcist. Yeah. It's such a scare. It's so terrifying from the very beginning all the way to the end.
Our possession as most priests. Look, your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
I'm telling you that thing upstairs isn't my daughter. Now I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind. You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The one hope. The only hope.
It's so, I mean, I listened to a lot of last podcasts on the left, and they were talking about like how The Exorcist like created the Christian revival of the 80s like by itself. Like,
unassisted.
It was such a scary movie that like it created like the whole like evangelical movement of the 80s, like helped spawn an entire social movement. That's how scary that movie is. And I think again, the thing that's scary about the movie is not the monster or the demon. It's that the sort of existential threat, not the physical threat. Like, obviously, it's a little girl. Like, how scary can a little girl be? But like, suddenly, all the world is much scarier than it was before, because like these spirits can just grab you and destroy your life. And like, that to me was really horrifying. It's just a great movie. Everything about it is so masterfully put together, and you should never watch it.
See, I like scary movies, but I am like very easily scared. In fact, we went to Halloween Horror Nights last year, and we went to the Exorcist house. It was the very first one that we went to, and it was so scary. I'm like, I don't need to see the movie. I've been through the experience.
It was really cool because you go in and like they're playing the music, the Tubular Bells music, and it's the shot from the cover of the movie
with the street light,
with the light coming down into the street, and it was I got chills because I knew what we were going into, and I was like, I don't feel like we need to go to this house because I know what's in there. And I actually caught The Exorcist on TV when I could not have been more than 9 because we moved out of the house that I remember seeing it in when I was 9. So I was watching some like Alfred Hitchcock thing because I was always a weird kid, and my mom was just like, here, watch this, and because I liked that kind of stuff, and it came on like TNT or something after whatever it was I was watching, and I probably only saw like 20 minutes of it, and it scared me so bad I had nightmares for years, and I didn't know what it was because they didn't say that I didn't see the very beginning because I had left the room. So I didn't know what I was watching. I didn't know the title, and so it was just this horrifying, awful thing that I had
You were afraid you were gonna see it again.
The Captain Howdy face kept flashing, and I finally was describing this girl like throwing up like soup, and somebody was like, "Oh, that's The Exorcist," and then they made us watch it, and it was awful and terrifying. And I think I saw it for the full time. I was probably 16 because like people have been trying to get me to watch it, and I was like, no.
Yeah. So I think second for me, which I guess I didn't really do mine in a very good order, but one of the ones that's scary to me was the Babadook.
If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook. A rumbling sound, then 3 sharp knocks.
Babadook, dook, dook.
That's when you'll know he's around. You'll see him if you look.
That noise, Babadook. Well, it gives me chills. I did it to myself just now.
I did it in the dark one time, like right before I went to bed, and she like just wailing on me. She was not happy about that.
That's just a great movie. They do a really good job with building tension,
the whole thing
creating atmosphere. That book, one of our good friends Ashley, she's like, I really want to buy you that book for your wedding present, but it's like $90.
I really wish you would, but that would have been so great because.
But you can buy the pop-up book, and I would never read that to a child.
It was really effective because it got scary super fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing is like a lot of times in movies where it's like troubled kids, horror directors, scary movie directors tend to get like really heavy-handed with their like, this is an allegory, and so like it's more about the kid being messed up than it is about the thing. And I think they struck a really great balance of like telling a story that was real and valuable, and like making a point about like the struggles of raising children, but also was a monster movie and very scary. I can't say enough good things about that movie. I remember we watched it and I was just like, again, wow, I didn't think I could be this scared, and that's what I crave. So that was a good one. I love that one. Number 1 for me, I want to say before I go into it, like, not only do I think this is the best scary movie, I think The Exorcist might be scarier. I think Paranormals 1 and 2 might be scarier, but this is not only my favorite scary movie, this is my favorite movie, period. I think it is the best movie ever made. I am ready to fight you about it.
That's a tall claim.
If like there are definitely movies that people will say like it was the best movie ever made, that I'm like, okay, well, I don't agree with you, but I understand it, but like, don't come at me with Pulp Fiction because you're just wrong. It's a great movie, but it's not. I think the best scary movie and the best pure film ever made is Insidious, another James Wan movie. It is perfect because everything about it is structured like a nightmare, and there are little things in it that I'm just blown away by. for instance, they change houses in the middle of the movie, and that gives you that sense of like, you know that this is the house they're supposed to be in, but nothing looks right, which happens to me in my nightmares. Like, I know that something is my house, but it doesn't look like my house is supposed to look. And that's just one detail among hundreds that the film is structured like a nightmare, and that you can't wake up from, you can't turn it off. I mean, I guess you could, but it's like, it's so evocative using, and its use of dream logic and dream imagery to convey that very primal nightmare fear in you, I think is underrated. I don't think that anybody has given that film the praise that it deserves in a mainstream way. I think, like I said, I think it's the best movie ever made. Insidious, James Wan. Go check it out. The second one is really good too, although they do dispel some of the mythos of it a little bit, and I thought that wasn't so great. But the third one is great too. 1 and 3, phenomenal. 2 is like a B+, and it suffers only because it is a 95 in a franchise with 1 100 and 198. Like it's like being Alex Lifeson from Rush. Like, you are an amazing musician. Unfortunately, you hang out with like the two guys, like Geddy Lee and Neil Peart, the undisputed champions of their instrument, and like, you know, like, only if that band had included Eddie Van Halen. Like, it's not fair to you, Alex Lifeson, who I think you're great. I love Rush, but it must suck to be like the 50th best guitar player in the world, that, you know, above millions of other guitar players, but in a band with 2 number ones, and it's not fair.
Yeah, I have not seen Insidious. No, I think that's no, I thought it was on the docket for this Halloween.
Are you gonna do it?
I think so.
Well, it'll be a great reaction video.
Okay, we'll do a reaction.
Of me at 3:30 in the morning.
being kept
being
awake.
Like, well, every light on the block is on. She's gone up and down the street, turning every light on. Because it is truly horrifying, and it's another one of those movies that people have like tried to make into a joke, and I think the reason people make jokes is to dispel tension, because it is so tense and so scary.
My number one is also a James Wan movie. So James Wan, if you're watching this, we both really love your filmmaking.
You're incredible.
We would love to talk to you.
Yeah,
we think you're awesome.
I have a great idea, 2 of them actually. I got a DC Comics movie to pitch you. Get at me. I also have, we've been working on a script that I think that you would really dig. So
anyway, my number one is Saw.
Someone there? I can hear you. Who is that? Who's in there?
I just...
Saw?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Saw will always haunt me. And I think it's because it was it's like so unexpected to me. I think the idea is really original. I think that the character of Jigsaw, like the little doll, will always be terrifying to me. And like, I think that he did so much with so little, you know.
I'll give you that.
Like, it's a small set, like a small cast. Like, he built so much terror and like,
he's so good at that too.
Into such a small thing, and if you, obviously, they kind of devolved over time. I think they're now making another one that's coming out soon.
Pass.
Which looks like, I won't bash it, but it does not look like the original. But anyway, I think it devolved into being a lot of gore, like we were talking about, and cheap scares.
That happens too. I mean, you see
a lot of
those great franchises go downhill really fast, and like, I happen to be a massive fan of the Halloween movies, but like after 3, they decline pretty rapidly in quality. Like, I love the later movies too, but like, you get a little goofy. The only one of them that got better was Friday the 13th, which actually, like, from the first one up, it like really hit its peak at like, what was it, 5 or 6? That was like awesome. And then Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is
that was really
just incredible. And really, I think, unexpected. It's how good it is. That's another one. It's not on either of our lists, but you should check that out.
But yeah, I just think I don't know, Saw is one of those unexpected gems that I'll always go back to.
Yeah.
And even though the future movies weren't as genuinely terrifying, the character will always really scare me, and the concept of, you know, the traps and like the idea of just the whole thing. I think the whole world that he created with that, which is something that he's really good at doing, is the atmosphere in the world. I just think it still scares me, even though I know it's not real. I'm like, I wake up sometimes and I look in the corner just to make sure there's not a tiny freaky clown bicycling.
I'm having to get one of those.
Out of the corner.
You know, the Jigsaw head is actually in, I don't know if it's in all of his movies, but it's in Dead Silence.
Oh, is it?
And it's in Insidious. In Dead Silence, in that room with all the...
Oh yeah, Dead Silence is really good.
And in Insidious, go look it up when, what is his name? The dad in Insidious, who's also Ed Warren in...
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. When Patrick Wilson's at work, he said he works at a school, and the Jigsaw faces on the blackboard behind him.
Anyone who thought that thing was good for kids needs to reevaluate their relationship with children. I'm just gonna say that. Yeah. But anyway, I think...
No, I think that's it. I think we're over the course of the month we're gonna sort of talk about some like other essential movies in like different categories. Like I definitely want to do a slasher movie. One again because I love both Friday the 13th and Halloween, and she's a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan. And like there's some of those other like little ones that I want to talk about. And then you know like vampires or like monster movies and stuff. But like for me the essence of Halloween movies is the scary movies, and I love them. I watch them all year.
Yeah.
So
what are your guys'
so tell me
five
what's your favorite 5 essential scary movies? That's scary.
Not just horror, something that
because
actually.
If I haven't seen it, like I want to see, like I want to know. And if you want to fight me about the best movie of all time, I will go into the comments and argue with you when I am not at work. I will just go around and around and around and around. I'm ready to do it.
He'll do it.
I'm committed. I have nothing better to do with my time. So yeah, definitely check those out, all of them. I think, you know, we really love film. We really love horror, scary movies, creepy movies. So tell us about some of your favorites. I want to know. I will fight you again about best movie of all time. Like I'm not joking about that. Like let's do it. But go out, enjoy the season, check out some of these movies. They're great for like a night in. And I think we're both kind of antisocial, so there's gonna be a lot of nights in coming up. We've got a lot more to check out.